As Canada continues to weather threats of annexation by the U.S., one question on some people's minds is, where's the U.K.? We share the same head of state. We're part of the Commonwealth and NATO. We fought alongside them in 2 world wars, but any signs of support for Canada's sovereignty from the UK government or Canada's head of state, King Charles, have been understated and subdued. So here to explore why we're not seeing and hearing more is William Huggins from McMaster University's DeGroote School of Business. Welcome to Your Morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
British reporters have been asking UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer to comment on President Trump's threats of annexation to their ally, Canada. Starmer will only say that Canada is a historical ally. Why are we not hearing more from the UK?
It's hard to say with certainty why any international actor might be taking the position that it does or the actions that it does. But the best thing we can do to try to understand why people are doing what they're doing is to take a look at their specific context. If we try to understand the UK's behavior purely in terms of what's happening between Canada and the US, it seems as though they are missing an action. But it's important for us to remember, in the last decade, the UK lost its close trading partners in the EU, and it's been basically adrift for the last 8-9 years. They're in the middle of trying to cut a free trade deal with the United States themselves. And given the thin skin on the US president, my best estimate, personal estimate, would be that the UK is trying to ensure that it can still secure the economic interests of its own people, and is worried about the possibility of alienating the Americans to buddy up to the Canadians.
So putting it in plain terms, perhaps they're worried about ticking off President Trump as we are also in our own trade war with them, so they've stayed quiet on our front, fighting their own battles. I also want to highlight, I mean, this comes to the fore because within days of becoming Prime Minister, Liberal leader Mark Carney travels to Europe. He meets with what he called reliable allies, French President Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and King Charles. And while President Macron called Canada in a press conference reliable, trustworthy, and a strong partner of France, we did not hear the same sort of public praise from Keir's Starmer. And that was really highlighted by British reporters. What do you have to say about that?
The big difference is that the Americans and the French, lumped in with the EU, already have their trade deal in place. The French know that they have reliable trade partners, even if things break down with the Americans. The British are not so sure. While the British may still be able to, tie in with NATO, they are effectively adrift. In many cases, they are still tied to the Commonwealth. They might still be tied in with NATO, but economically they're adrift on their own, and they're concerned about this. So they are playing it softer than the French, who are a little bit more happy to confront the Americans. If you notice in terms of symbolic things, we get nuclear submarines from the French visiting and how, off of the East Coast. In terms of subtle signaling from the British, we have everything from King Charles providing a sword to his, Canadian agents, etc. So what we have are subtle, quiet signals of support from people, as opposed to necessarily brash, loud ones that we might prefer.
Yeah,
I think the most important thing for Canadians to remember is that when national leaders meet together and discuss things like national security, they don't tell the press everything that they talk about.
Sure, but I think there is an expectation among Canadians that when you fight alongside a world war, when you've got the king's face on your money, when we share a head of state, that there is some expectation of, are we an ally or are we not? Is it fair to have that? I mean, we're a member of the Commonwealth, which I know is symbolic, but when the king's face is on the money and he's in the post office, you do expect some sort of a public, is it wrong to accept some sort of acknowledgement, some sort of allyship to be shown in a public way?
It's challenging to say. We could even say to the point where the Americans and the British were allies, and the British fought the Nazis without too much American help for the first couple of years of the war. So even though we may have various friends and various allies, what they're unlikely to do is engage in performative displays for the benefit of the public. And even though it may be unsettling to the public not to hear it, what really matters is how countries behave in a crisis, not what they say for performance purposes. And that's what I was trying to get at with the idea that national leaders don't always discuss the details of their discussion afterwards. For instance, if national leaders had gotten together to war game what could happen in an invasion of Canada, they certainly wouldn't discuss those details. Nor would they discuss the notion that, Canada might be defended by either Britain or by France.
Right.
So while these discussions are certainly taking place, they're taking place out of the public eye for a reason. We're trying not to make things worse with the rather tetchy American president.
William Huggins with McMaster University. Thanks for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Russ Henry, have a good one.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.